delay. For those of you watching this on live, I've just found out my microphone doesn't work. So today there's a bit of a different sound. It's the computer microphone. I hope that it'll start working, but at the moment we'll just have to go with this. That's why I've been running around trying to try different microphones, different headsets, and none of them seem to work. Never mind. The important thing is you're here and I'm here. And today we're going to be looking at this great topic of the generation gap. Thanks to those of you who suggested this topic. A lot of IELTS questions look at young people, children, old people, changes, right? Generation gap kind of captures the idea. So it's going to be a nice one to look at. We'll look at that today. Can I, just before we start, say a big thank you to the people who've made some donations. Thank you to Bao Le, to Tao DT Willie at Gmail, and Ridi Meta. Guys, thank you very, very much. It means a lot, and it's a big, big help to help me do the work that I'm doing. Also a shout out. I've had quite a few emails lately, and I want to make a quick shout out to a really nice email that came from Kawaljit Kaur. And really a big, big thanks, because he says, "Hey Keith, thank you for your help. The course and free live lectures have helped me score 7 in speaking. I'm happy to share with you I obtained the desirable score in IELTS 88777. May God give you a healthy and happy life. Eternally grateful. Thank you, Kawaljit." That is lovely, Kawaljit. That makes me very, very happy to know people watching the videos and following the courses are able to reach their goals, not just in IELTS, but beyond IELTS, right? Whether it's study abroad or immigration. So thank you for sharing that. It's really, really nice to see. It's great. Excellent. Let's see a few hellos. Who's in the house? From Riyadh, James Sakpao. Nice to see you, James. Atia, hello. Maiden from Germany. Great. Guten Morgen. It should be morning, right? Yes, I think so. I think we're on the same time level. It's only those British people who are an hour behind. Ashraf from Kerala, nice to see you again. Min, hi. Manisha, Jia, lots of people in the house. Laila, Harmanjot have given me 6 hearts. Thank you very much. 6 hearts back to you. From Vietnam, hello, the Facebook guys. Of course, I cannot see your names, I'm afraid, but lovely to see you here. Dorsa, hello. Nice jumper, thank you very much. Blue jumper, right? To go with the blue sky we've got today. Lovely. Very, very nice. Hello, Sarah from Riyadh as well. Ziloa from Uzbekistan. I say Uzbekistan. It's not I know, but in Spanish they say Uzbekistan. Influence of the surrounding environment. I am British, but I live in Spain, you see. So this is what happens when you live in a foreign country. The culture takes you over bit by bit. You start eating grapes and eating lots of cheese and drinking red wine and going, hola, buenos dias. Great. So the generation gap today. Let's dig straight in. If you're on the Facebook group, by the way, if you're not, why not? Come and join us, right? Here, come and join the Keith's Mastermind community in the Facebook group. Before the classes, we all spend the week kind of looking at some different activities around this topic. And a few of you have told me about whether you were mischievous, right, or naughty, kind of badly behaved when you were a child. Or were you a goody-goody? Were you a goody-goody two-shoes? Were you a really good and well-behaved boy or girl? It was interesting to hear your stories. Very, very interesting. And also, we watched a TV program, The Generation Gap. This 92-year-old lady competing against a young teenager, testing her knowledge of teen culture and the young boy's knowledge of older, like Elvis Presley and older pop culture. It was great. So, message, come and join the Facebook group. And if you don't know about the website, right, it's Keith Speaking Academy. I'll just show you the website because it's good to know, right, that after this class, a few hours later, you can go to the free live lessons section And that is where you can do two things. You can, if you like, make a quick donation to help me with my work, but more importantly, you can download the lesson notes. So we've got the last lesson notes here, and then there's the archives. What I've done, by the way, is to put them in alphabetical order. A for ambition, B for books, C for change, just to make it a bit easier for you now to find the lessons that you want. And if you want to download it, you can download the notes. If you want to read the lesson, maybe you're on your mobile phone. For most of them, now you can start reading them here and just follow all the stuff here. There's the whole quick way to go and find out everything you want. So that's it. Lots of great stuff there that I hope will be helping you with your study. And if you've not downloaded my free book yet, go to the homepage and go and download it. The top mistakes people are making. Great, brilliant. Chen Wang, ni hao. I've just seen. Great. It's nice to see a Chinese post there. Chinese comment. How are you? Nice to see you. Excellent. Good. So that's it. That's the website. Let me turn that off. It looks like the news, right? The BBC, with a ticker line going. Latest news. Keith has a new book. Download it on his website. Excellent. Great. So I got my result yesterday, securing a 6.5 in speaking. I watched your video till the examiner called me to the room. I hope you didn't take my video into the room with you. Just a minute. I'm just watching Keith. Examiner would be a big 0. Thanks a lot. Love from Bangladesh. That's a Facebook user. Great. It's my pleasure. Very nice to hear that. That's great. Great. We've got people from Muscat in Oman. Excellent. Great. So let's dig right in. Where was I? I was looking at this, not this one. This one. Let's wind it up. Related topics. So beginning here, right, maybe I can come in the picture. Can I come in the picture? Yes, I can. Hello. Let me come into the Word document. It's actually Pages. I'm an Apple fan. So when we look at the generation gap, right, I think this covers a lot of topics in IELTS. First and foremost, questions about behaviour, especially children, right? If you want to talk about a child who behaved badly, the language today is part of the generation gap. If you want to talk about games or toys when you were a child, that's something related to this topic. Mobile phones and apps, right? Very common questions. Should children have a mobile phone? Should they use them, right? Again, this is something we'll be looking at in this topic today. A person who is open. Are children more adults? Are children more adults? No. Are children more open than adults? Well, yes and no. Depends, right? What about friends? Do you stay in touch with childhood friends, right? So again, we're making the connection with children, parents, and of course the topic of family is the big one that this encapsulates. That's a lovely word, encapsulates. To encapsulate is to capture or to hold or to cover, right? Encapsulate. Great. So family encapsulates, family encapsulates the generation gap. The ideas about children obeying parents, right? What about grandchildren? Do they look after children? No, of course they don't. That's a typo. Do grandchildren look after children? Will you what? No. Do grandparents look after children? That's what I meant. Do grandparents look after children? How are the young generation different from their parents or grandparents if you've got 3 generations in your house? That leads us beautifully into this topic. Let's begin there, right? Let's look first at some useful vocabulary. So kicking off, let me just start a new page, literally. Useful vocabulary. The younger generation. So that obviously is young people, teenagers, adolescents, right? Lots of words we can use here. Children. I guess the youngest, right, is toddlers. Toddlers are about 2 to 3 years old. You've got teenagers who are, obviously, by the name, 13, 14, 15. Ah, that's why they're called a teenager. Did you know that? That's 13. So not 12, 13, 14, 15. Theoretically up to 19, but really, well, you become an adult at 18, right? So I would say really 17 is kind of the teenager, because at 18 you become more of an adult. Adolescent, you can also talk about, is the same thing, really. Yeah, that same idea. So this is the younger generation. But it can also be young adults. We can talk about young adults being the generation. Maybe you talk about millennials these days. Millennials are also the kind of the people born between 1980 and 2000. I'm going to look at generations in a moment. Yeah. The older generation, well, that's your parents or grandparents. And then, of course, you've got the generation gap, which is, and I went to Wikipedia, good old Wikipedia, to get a definition. And it says exactly this, that it's the difference in opinions, actions and beliefs between one generation and another. Who is different? Is it the young have got different opinions, or is it the old people have different opinions? Not very clear. It's probably both, right? And we can, of course, talk about bridging the generation gap, which is a nice collocation, to bridge the gap. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Now, I mentioned we talked about millennials. Let me show you. I'm going to show you this picture if I can. Can I show you this picture? I'm not sure. Let's see. This one. Not this one. This one. Here we go. What am I doing there? Me, I'm actually generation, that's me. Let me put me here. Generation X, that's me. Look, there we go. Baby boomers, born between 1944 and 1964. You may want to talk about Generation X, which might be your parents, might be your grandparents, I don't know. Somebody said the other day, you know, you are like a father to us, Keith. All of your students see you as a father. How very, very nice. Millennials, born between 1980 and 1994. So that's the Generation Y, right? X, Y. And then Generation Z, very creatively, born between 1995 and 2015, the Generation Z. Sometimes called snowflakes in a very negative way. Snowflakes. So yes, that's it. You may want to talk about different generations, right, as well. And you can find out all about those. There are links that I will send you to later on, and you can find out all about them. Great. Let me check in. Let me see how you're doing. Generation Z. Nishant is a Generation Z. Nishant, with an avatar of the minions, you must be Generation Z. Only a Generation Z would have a minion as their avatar. Van, it's a good question. Why are they called so? Because a group of marketing people sat in a room and thought, let's get some catchy, nice phrases that we can use in our media and marketing. And they sat there and said, what should we call them? Generation 1? Generation 2? Generation 3? And some bright spark said, oh, I know, Generation X, Y, and Z. Great. And I think literally that's what happened. A group of people in a room got this ridiculously uncreative labels. And of course, what happens now? They've got X, Y, Z. They're at the end. What are they going to do? It's a bit like playing the guitar. When you play the guitar, you go, and when you get to the top, the highest note, where'd you go? You go back down. A. They're going to start at Generation A, I think. Generation Alpha, I think they're going to call them. Great. Ray-Ban, nice new hairstyle. Great. Not much of it, right? Generation X, we don't have much hair. Got a millennial from Canada. Great, nice to see you. Angeling is in the millennial generation. I'm guessing most of you are millennials, right? Josie, nice to see you here. First time here, great. Girl dead inside. I feel dead inside. Well, that's your name. That's your avatar. Of course you do. Why snowflakes sound negative? Well, very good question. So, because a snowflake is beautiful, right? It's beautiful, but it's delicate. It's ever so soft. And if you touch it, it breaks. So there's a thing about snowflakes in the workplace being a bit oversensitive, delicate, that if you shout at them, they go, woo, I'm going to tell my HR about you. Some people said that this is what happened with the recent complaint in the UK about Miss Patel, who was one of our ministers who shouted at her staff, and she's accused of bullying them. Maybe she did. Some people say the new staff, the young staff, are snowflakes. They're too delicate, too soft. Who knows? But interesting. Gen Z, Maiden, great. From Germany, if I remember. Kushik, also Gen Z, nice. Shima, first time here, welcome. Great. Right, this is interesting, Shakun. Generation Y, Gen Y. That's a good point, actually. Instead of generation, we just say Gen. Gen Y, Gen X. Gen Y, we know technology as well as chivalry. Ha, ha, ha. I'll have you know, Generation X as well. We have a bit of chivalry, right? Not much technology. Well, some technology, right? We have this thing called digital natives. If you grew up with technology, you're a digital native. I'm a digital immigrant, right? The idea that I'm coming into this world as an outsider, digital immigrant. I'm not sure if I like the metaphor, but GZ, Gen Z. Brilliant. I feel old, says somebody. Right? Yes, it happens to us. But it's great being old. I love it. Great. Now then, let's move on. So there's something we can share with you. I'm going to move on and talk about the younger generation, about young people, right? I'll get out of the way. Some language that came up. So I was asking people about when they were a child, if you behaved well or if you were naughty. So some nice language here. If you were well behaved, well done, good for you. You can say, I was well behaved, well mannered, well brought up, right? Try them with me. And when you say I was, make the was soft or weak. So it's a was. I was well behaved. And you put the stress on the haved. I was well behaved. I was well mannered. Good. Make sure it's a was. I was well mannered. Good. And the next one, put the stress on the chievous. Chievous. I was mischievous. I was mischievous. Some people say mischievous. Actually, the stress can change depending on your local accent or your dialect. Now, another nice expression is, oh, sorry. Hello, Generation X. Hello, wake up. I jumped the line, didn't I? It should be well brought up. I was well brought up. Okay, next one. I was badly behaved. Stress on the badly. I was badly behaved. I was disobedient. I was mischievous. All of those are the same. Badly behaved, disobedient, mischievous means, bad. We also say well, Okay, I'll give you another expression later. Up to no good. But first, make a nuisance or to be a nuisance. To be a nuisance is to be a pain, right? To be naughty, if you like. It's used in different ways. For example, when you've got a young, I don't know, maybe you've got two children and they're always fighting, and you're trying to study English for IELTS, and then your children start fighting with each other. Wow! They are a nuisance, right? They're a bit naughty and they're a pain in the proverbial butt. They are a nuisance, or they are making a nuisance of themselves, right? Let me put that here. They are a nuisance, or they make a nuisance of themselves. I can't study because my children make a nuisance of themselves. Okay, so it's not just crying because they're crying, but it's being a bit naughty, right? Doing something a bit wrong. Great. A nuisance. Difficult word, but well worth learning. Nuisance. New, as in new, brand new. Nuisance. Nuisance. My children are a nuisance. All children, I think it's in the nature of young children to be a nuisance, right? That's what young children do. They go to special training school. They go to school to train to be a nuisance. And I found it interesting that some people said, I was both well-behaved and badly behaved at school. Or I was well-mannered and disobedient at the same time. True, I think all kids, sometimes you're well-behaved, sometimes you're a bit naughty, you make a nuisance of yourselves, you get up to no good, right? That's another expression. I used to get up to no good. It means I used to do naughty things, right? I used to get up to no good. Playing tricks on people. As children, of course, we always play tricks on other children, right? Whatever the tricks are, whether you're, throwing a bucket of water on them, or you give them an apple that's got an ant inside, I don't know. Playing tricks, or tease somebody. To tease somebody is a bit like to make fun of them, right? A bit like make fun, not exactly the same, but to say things to wind somebody up, right? If I know that you hate you hate your hair, and I say, oh, when are you going to the hairdressers? Isn't it time you went to the hairdressers? Are you going to change your hairstyle? I'm teasing you, right? I'm making fun of you, but a little bit naughty, because I know you're going to get angry or annoyed. So I'm teasing you. When are you going to the hairdressers? Come on, really? I think you need to go to the hairdressers. Right, some nice expressions there, okay, with children and young children. Let's see what anything else you've got. You see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Viniflix, I was well behaved but very naughty at the same time. Right. Well educated, that's a nice one, well educated. But well educated, yeah, he's well educated. The emphasis is more on your knowledge and skills rather than behaviour. So he's very well educated. It's not really your behaviour, it's more that you know, you've read books, you've been educated well, you know literature, things like that, right? Anu says, I was truly well behaved. Really? Rajani, I was mischievous. Right. Queen Mariana Estrada, I'm a good girl when I was small. I'm sure you were. Just remember, right, this is a very, very common mistake, Queen Marianne. So it's really nice you made it to show everybody I was a good girl, right? And in fact, not I was, but I was a good girl. So you make the weak form. I was a good girl when I was small. When I was small. It's worse because we stress the next word. I was a good girl when I was small. Right. Good. Who else? Well behaved. That's nice. Lou, well done. I was well behaved. Razu, strange question. How many idiom and phrase will you use in total specking? You mean speaking? Impossible question. There is no number. You just try and make use of colloquial and spoken English as best as you can. Karima, I have... Oh, you're talking to each other. Great, great. Ashraf says, I was a naughty sort. Yeah, you can say that. I was a naughty sort. There's a nice word here, wayward. Sachenda says, I was wayward. Wayward means kind of badly behaved, to go off the tracks, yeah, not to follow the rules. Maybe disobedient is a similar thing. Good, Animal for Life. I was defiant as well, right? Yeah. Excellent. I mean, not excellent you were defiant. Of course not. That's not so good. Excellent language, I mean. Come on, Keith. Teach good morals. What else? We said we can say I got into trouble. Somebody used this expression. I was the black sheep of the family. Is lovely, a lovely idiom. The black sheep of the family. What colour are sheep? Usually. Yeah, white. So if you're a black sheep, you're unusual. You're different. But in English, the expression means you're different for a bad thing because of your bad behaviour or the naughty things you do. So the black sheep of the family is the bad one in the family. Great. Black sheep of the family. What were you? Were you the black sheep of the family or the good one? Okay, I'm going to move on and have a look at a question coming up. Black sheep means mischievous. Yes, mischievous. But it refers to the family, the members of the family. And it's within the context of the family. So your brother and your sister were really good children, but you were the only naughty one. The only naughty one. You are the black sheep of the family. Yes. White elephant. That's something else. The good wolf. Great. Are these from your own language? I assume so. White crow. I'm assuming these are all translations. Most teachers don't recommend to use groomed up. Yeah, don't use groomed up. No, that doesn't work here. Groomed means you've combed your hair, you've cleaned your face, you've quite smart clothes. Right, okay. Let's move on. I'm going to ask you a question, and this is the question. What causes the generation gap? Oh, stop. I don't want to give you my answers. You don't want to know what I think. I want to know what you think. What causes the generation gap? Write a comment below and give me time to have some coffee. Oh, Ashraf, how about me? Well, if you're on the Facebook group, you'll have done the listening, which I talked about my childhood. I was fairly well behaved. I wasn't the black sheep. I think my brother was the black sheep of the family, but don't tell him. And John, if you're watching, I think that I was fairly well behaved. I was very studious, very disciplined at school and schoolwork. I worked very hard at school and at university. I've always studied very, very hard. But I was naughty sometimes, but not that often. I guess I was quite gullible, so I was easily influenced by other children. So if other friends were playing tricks, I would join them and play tricks together. So I wouldn't initiate naughty behaviour, but if we had a group of friends who said, let's go and throw stones at the teacher, not stones, we wouldn't throw stones at the teacher, but let's laugh at the teacher, then I might join them. Yeah. Right, let's have a look. What causes the generation gap? Oh, this is interesting. The non-flexibility of the older generation. Oh, interesting. Different beliefs. Yes. Different education backgrounds. Yes, because our education systems do change from one generation to another. Dorsa says technology. Ritika says opinion, as in different opinions, right? This is an interesting one, that the elderly don't have enough information about technology, which, excuse me, which is an essential part of the youngsters' lives nowadays, which is an essential part. Yes, I'll just add in your "an." That's very true. Yes, I think that's, by and large, it's not always true, but it can be true. Atia says, well, where are you? Generation gap means the difference in habits and behaviour because of age differences. Good. Other reasons: technology, crisis, pandemic. Does the pandemic cause generation gap? I don't know. Interesting. Valmir, definitely right. Rapid changes in society and the mobility of society. That's really interesting. The mobility of society. That, for me, can mean lots of different things. It can mean parents having to move to another city to work and leaving their children with the grandparents. It can mean the young people, especially in England, when you're 18, a lot of young people leave home and go and live in another city and therefore are separated from their parents and grandparents, can lead to differences in generation gaps. Interesting, that, very interesting. Omnia says the generation gap is because of the advent of technology. Nice, right? It's because of the advent of technology. Omnia, very, very nice. And that leads me nicely to share some expressions with you. Let me share these expressions, right? So I've got here, what causes the generation gap? The gap is due to blah, 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 right? So we could say due to. That's what you probably know. But also the simple word down. The gap is down to, right? Meaning because of or due to. It's all the same meaning. This is really easy because you know the word down, but here we're using it to mean because. The gap, the generation gap, is down to technology. It's down to new technologies. The generation gap is down to the different attitudes of young people. It's down to more mobility in society, right? Lots of nice things you can do with a simple word, down. It's very, very spoken English, and so that will help impress Mr. or Mrs. Examiner. Or the gap arises because of new technologies. So again, we've got because of here. Just notice it's because of, but down to or due to. Make sure you get the right prepositions there. So the gap arises because of new technologies. For example, children prefer texting and communicating via social media. So do remember when you're speaking in IELTS Speaking to develop your answers a bit, right? So you may want to say, well, my opinion is the gap arises because of new technologies. For example, by and large, children prefer texting and communicating via social media. Yeah. You may want to say by and large because there's always a danger that if you say children prefer, well, not all children, actually. This is most children. And you don't want to stereotype everybody as the same. So, you may want to say and show off your language by and large, right? Or in many cases, in many cases, children prefer da 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 da. Yeah. It all means the same as generally speaking. Generally speaking, children prefer texting and communicating. So it's nice to do this because it makes it more accurate, but it also shows off your language, right? Which is great. So the gap is down to new technologies. I think in many cases, children prefer texting and communicating via social media like Instagram. Hey, I know all about Instagram. I am now on Instagram. Hey. Generation X, ha. Digital immigrant, ha. We can also say new technologies. So yes, I think the generation gap is down to new technologies. In many cases, their parents, children's parents, may prefer making a phone call or one-on-one interaction and face-to-face conversations. That's nice language. One-on-one interaction. Say that with me. One-on-one interaction. One-on-one interaction. Yeah. Face-to-face. Face-to becomes face-to. Face-to-face. Conversations. Face-ations. Face-to-face conversations. Older people prefer face-to-face conversations. Lovely. So there, you can use some nice language there. So new technologies, maybe it's down to new technologies, maybe it's down to globalization. What do I mean by that? Globalization. Well, for example, if I get out of the way, come on. Come on. Globalization. Well, for example, younger generations may travel more and gather different views. Yeah. We talked about mobility in society. So maybe younger generations, they travel more to different cities or different countries and they gather different views, which may be different from their grandparents, right? that can happen very, very easily, you know. Influence of different cultures. Some people, you may want to talk about the influence of Western culture, but in Britain, we'll talk about the influence of Eastern culture. Good grief, lots of people now are into Buddhism because we learn it from the East. Lots of people in Britain have changed their diet and they start eating sushi. It's hugely popular because they've learned that from Japan and other Asian countries. Some young Brits are into sushi. Some young Chinese are into Starbucks coffee. Maybe it's Western culture, maybe it's Eastern culture. I think it's all over. It's globalization, the influence of different cultures. Yeah, nice use of very simple words, right? But they're so expressive. They are into. You know, some people, some students get so obsessed with complicated words to show off vocabulary. Yes and no. Yes, sometimes, but sometimes the simplest word, into, to be into, is so simple but really powerful. Some young Brits are into sushi, right? Or we can talk about adolescence and identity is, of course, the other area. Maybe the generation gap. Maybe it's down to adolescence. Young people looking for their identity. Let me get out of the way. Conflict arises because teenagers are struggling to carve out their identity. Well, that's a bit poetic, but it's lovely. Meaning to find their identity. Teenagers are struggling to find their identity. They're going through a transition stage. Go through a transition stage, right? From being a child to an adult. And they often rebel against their parents, rebel against their parents' values. Rebel against is to go against, to be against something. To rebel against is to be against. Great. Good. Notice the prepositions, because remember, at the end of the class, we're going to do a Kahoot, and I'm going to test you. And I'm going to test you not only on expressions, but on the prepositions and the grammar. So make sure you make a note, right? Things like it's down to new technology, to rebel against their parents. They're going through a transition stage. Excellent. Very, very good. You can tell I'm getting hoarse. Good. Keith, you really like Ashraf and Shakum. I'm sorry. I do. I keep picking them out, don't I? Excuse me for that. The gap is due to knowledge. That's true. Maybe it's due to knowledge. Oh, I'm also like Madden. I've put her out 3 times today. Excuse me. Amarit, we are discussing the generation gap. Dreamer Jane says, I believe it's due to the advancement of technology or modernization. Great. Yes, is it cold tea? Yeah, no, it's cold coffee, and it's disgusting. It was nice 40 minutes ago, but now it's cold. But yes. Hello, sir. Is body language puts an impact on band score? No, not at all. There is nothing about body language in the IELTS speaking test. The gap is down to perception. That's very true. I like it. Yes. Teenhood we don't use. No. Teenagers, yeah. Childhood, adulthood, we don't really use teenhood. Everybody will understand it, and it's quite creative, but it's not commonly used. By the way, Egyptian people do love English cake as a kind of cultural variety. Ah, interesting. Interesting indeed. Ah, I saw this before. Yes, Jahinda, the gap is down to disposition. Yes, very nice. Yes. Okay, excellent. Let's move on. I've got another question, right? Another question coming up because we've talked about the generation gap. Jahinda, let me just remove you for a moment. So we've talked about what causes the generation gap. That surely best bet. What's happening to me? Blah, 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 blah. We've talked about the generation gap. That begs the question. That's what I wanted to say. That begs the question. How can the generation gap be bridged? I'm popping up all over the place. How can the generation gap be bridged, right? If that's a problem, how do we solve it? Come on, guys, let's see. What a hard question, says Fariba. I like asking hard questions. It's impossible. Impossible. Okay, Rabia says boo communications. Boo. That's Chinese. Boo. 没有. Boo. 没有了. Maybe you mean, I'm just guessing, Rabia, maybe you mean more communications? Maybe. Right? Private Garden agrees, communication. Dreamer Jen says more education. Manjula, communication and socialization became less. People tend to be more selfish. That's the problem. So the solution, Manjula, is more communication and more socialization. Yes? Parabolic feelings. Love it. Parabolic feelings with the avatars. Great. Try to communicate for sure. Yes. Wang Yun, spend more time with each other. Yeah. Great. By dialogue. Yep. We can remove or narrow by interaction and respect. Yes, oh, I see. Narrow the gap, you mean. Narrow the gap. I'll just make that clear. We can remove or narrow. So remove or narrow the gap by interaction and respect. Nice. Aziza, inform the elderly. Well, yes. And how about inform the young people? Because there's things that the older generation know that the young people don't know. Conversation could help. Absolutely. Cooperation could help. Yes. It is difficult, yes. Aida says it's difficult. I agree, yes. Right, Marwa says it can't be bridged, but good communication between us will calm it down. Yeah, calm it down. Calm it down, that's a strange word to use. Calm it down. Calm it down is the argument, right? I would use that one, reduced. Will reduce, not reduce down. We'll reduce it. We'll reduce the gap, right? Bridge the gap, reduce the gap. It can't be bridged, but good communication between us will reduce it. Yeah, nice. Excellent. Very, very good. Some great ideas there. Let me share some with you as you're adding more and more. By doing this, oh, this is a nice one. Yep, by doing the same hobbies. Yeah, I think that's really good because it's often not just about talking. It's about doing things together. That's really nice. Great. Yes, by adapting with the current trend. Maybe, Francisca, adapting with the current trend. Maybe, yes. This one is nice, more philosophical. Mohammed says accepting each other's differences. Accepting is a nice word here. Very, very good. I like that. Like it very, very much. Thank you, Mohammed. Great. So here's a few ideas I've jotted down with some help as well. A big shout out to Zulfiye as well. Zulfiye has been helping with organising notes for the lessons. Thank you very much. And a big shout out to Sheila as well, who also helps with that. Thank you so much, guys. So some ideas here. How can the generation gap be bridged? Pass down values to the next generation. Pass down is to give, right? We say pass down. Notice pass down, right? I'm going to test you later, remember? So make a note. Don't just think about it. Get your pen and pencil. Generation X. And if you're a millennial or a Gen Z, get your tablet and electronic pen or your voice recorder and write it down. Pass down, to give values to the next generation. Right? If we share the same values, then we're going to have more communication. Of course, the trouble is, of course, the younger generation might and often reject the values of the old generation. Accept, I use that word as well, accept the world has changed. So instead of saying, well, you know, I want to speak to you on the phone. No, but we can just text each other. Accept the changes. There's changes in society. How can the generation gap be bridged? Men are no longer the sole breadwinners. Girls can become scientists. So these are examples of change. Maybe I should make that clearer. For example. So the world has changed. For example, men are no longer the sole breadwinners. So the breadwinner, you know, the person who makes money for the family. Let me get out of the way. Come on, Keith. Out of the way. Men are no longer the sole breadwinners. Equals only. Girls can become scientists, right? So in the past, you know, maybe parents or grandparents would say to their girls, their daughters, you know, learn to be a good housewife, or become an English teacher, or do something arty, become a painter, but don't become a scientist. And now things have changed. It's not just boys who become scientists, it's girls. And so there's a whole change in acceptance, diversity, all of that. Find common ground is a nice expression. Find common ground means find things where you agree. So things to do together, or to discuss. Find common ground, something you can discuss together or talk about together. It's difficult to find common ground, but when you look, you can usually find some kind of common ground. Communicate more. That was great. Somebody said that. Teach each other and build stronger family bonds. That's a nice word. Build family bonds. Great expression. Good collocation. Build family bonds. Spend time with each other. Make a note on your tablet. Spend time with each other. Right? Excellent. Can I add anything? Anything else? Anything else? Through communication, it can be tackled by mutual respect and positive attitude. Positive attitudes, mutual respect. Let's add that one in. Have mutual respect is nice. So I respect you, you respect me. What else? Learning family ethics. Yep. Siada. Learning family ethics. Ethics and values, I guess. Yeah. Maybe that's ties into passing down family ethics, right? The one at the top. Pass down family ethics or pass down values. Yep. Respect and communication, Anafi. Great. Interaction. Interaction. Did I write that one? That's a good one to have. Have more interaction. Have mutual respect. And more interaction with each other. A few of you are confusing the prepositions with each other. And the each other is nice, right? When it's you and me, it's with each other. Spend time with each other. Interact with each other. Brilliant. Nice. Share their viewpoints together. Open their mind. That's nice. There's Fatima, good communication. View. Have a talk. Have a talk. That's so colloquial. Well done. Have a talk and share their viewpoint together toward an issue in life and try to open their mind to welcome different ideas and opinions. Beautiful. Very, very nice. Great. I like it. Excellent. Good. So, lots of ideas. We've talked about the generation gap, why it exists, and also what we can do about it, how we can bridge the gap. The bridge, I think somebody asked, what's to bridge? A bridge is a verb, right? A bridge, but it's also the verb. What a day I'm having. A bridge is a noun. Let me show you a bridge. I'm sure you know this, but maybe just for one or two of you, we can make it crystal clear. A brrrr. How did Google know that? I have a bridge and Google says showing results for bridges. Brilliant. Well done, Google. So this is a bridge, but it's also a verb. To bridge is to join two distant things. Yep, to join A and to join B, to bridge. Bring them together or make them closer. To bridge. Excellent. So we've talked about bridging the gap. What's next? Oh, I know. We're going to talk a little bit about idioms. Ah, great. Nice. We're going to have a look at some idioms for this particular topic. That would be a good idea. And I'd like to do that by showing you a very short video. I've invited in a friend, an old friend we've not seen for some time. He's been out busy doing IELTS mock tests. But he's going to come in now and going to talk to you about the generation gap and give you his ideas about the generation gap. What I want you to do is to listen carefully and make a note of any idioms he uses. Right? So listen to this person. That's right, it's Stan. It's Stan the man. Listen to Stan talking about the generation gap. And I want you to make a note. If you're a Generation X, you can use a pen. If you're Generation Y or Z, you can find your own way. You can do what you like. Make some notes about the idioms that he uses. Okay, there's a lot. We'll pick out a few. right? Are you ready? Let's do it. Let's have a look at Stan the man with his strange accent. Yes, he does. Okay, bear with me. Oh, come on, seriously? Right, bear with me a moment. Because Apple, in its wisdom, has decided to put it in the iCloud. Don't you love Apple? MacBooks. I've decided to put your file into the cloud. So now it takes me a bit to download it again. I love Apple, but at times it seems like they play tricks on you, right? Okay, we're there. And I'm going to nip out. While this is playing, I'm going to go out and get some water. Because I'm parched. Here we go.
Yo, check it out. It's Stan, the man, giving you my take on the generation gap. So listen, back in the day when I were a kid, yeah, kids were taught to be seen, not heard. Speak when you're spoken to. We didn't have tablets, mobile phones, computers and all of that. Nah, we had a football and a park and we were happy, yeah? At school, right, we used to play tricks on the teacher. We would lock the classroom door from the inside so the teacher couldn't get in. And the teacher would be knocking on the door trying to get in and shouting. Finally, when they did get in, there was hell to pay. And I'll tell you something else. If my dad found out, yeah, if my father found out, I'd be in deep, deep trouble, yeah? If I ever got into my father's bad books, then, well, I tell you, I kid you not, he would come down on me like a ton of bricks. And if my mother found out, well, that was it. I'd be really in the doghouse. Straight to bed, no dinner. End of story. But you know, nowadays times have changed. Yeah, absolutely. These snowflakes these days, they get everything they want. Kids are spoiled rotten, in my humble opinion. And you know, if we tell them to behave, it falls on deaf ears. They don't take the blindest bit of notice. What can we do? I reckon, right, we need to pass down some of our values to the next generation. I say we pass down the 3 R's. Respect, responsibility, and love. Yeah, I know, it's not an R, but 3 R's sounds better than 2 L's and an R, right, from a marketing perspective. Anyway, that's my take on the generation gap. What is your take? Let me know.
Stan the man. What a great man. Interesting, right? A bit of a naughty child, Stan, when he was at school. Dear, oh dear, locking the teacher out of the classroom? Unbelievable. Can't believe he was such a mischievous little boy. Excellent. So, I hope you enjoyed that, Stan. Great. There's lots of expressions there. I'm going to rewind a little bit and just pick out, some of you picked up quite a few here. Let's have a look. Da-da. Where are we? Come on, Stan the man. So I'll just share. You've got a few, you've got a do. Wait with me. I'm going to share some of the things that you've said. Because you got them as you were going through. Okay, we got Powell's said hell to pay. Very good. So hell to pay is big trouble. There's hell to pay. You're in big trouble. In Mabia says into somebody's bad books. Right? Not into, but in somebody's bad books. Right? Means you're in trouble with them. We've got Rose says, come down, come back, Rose. Come down on me like a ton of bricks. Yep, is to be very, very strict and give me a big punishment. I'll go through these in a moment in a bit more detail. Aida, in the doghouse, right? In trouble. The doghouse is the house outside of the house where the dog goes. So if you're in trouble, you have to sleep outside. That's you're in the doghouse. You're in trouble. Yeah. Good. We got this one as well. We got deep trouble. To be in big trouble or deep trouble. Shalini chat, spoilt rotten. Yeah, very good. To be really spoilt. When children are spoilt, they get everything they want. When they're badly, really, really, really spoilt, they're spoilt rotten, right? Deaf ears. Yes, it's for, did anybody get it? It's Mappier. Again, well done. I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong. Apologies. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Maria, maybe? It falls on deaf ears. That means they ignore it, right? They don't pay attention. Pass down, we've got, yes. Come down, pass down values. What else have we got? Anyone else? I think that's it. I should join Hollywood. Not sure about that. Here's another one. This was a nice one at the end. Astika, what is your take? Right? What is your opinion? You may hear that in the exam. Some examiners say that. What's your take? What's your opinion? Again, it's a very simple word. Take. You know the word take, but do you know this meaning? It's the interesting bit about English, right? It's like an onion. You start unwrapping it and you start finding all these interesting words. So my take is, my opinion is blah, 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 right? Excellent. We love Stan the Man. He has, his accent is a bit of a London accent. I'm trying to do the London accent. I don't do it perfectly, but that's my idea of the London accent. Yeah, English for All has got these. I mean, you've put them here as phrasal verbs mostly, but check out, take on, get into trouble, play tricks on, pass down. Yeah, good. Brilliant. So listen, that's excellent. I'm just going to go through them very briefly with you, and I'll just show you on here. And then, of course, later, come back. Remember, after about 4 or 5 hours, you can go to the website, Keith Speaking Academy, and download these notes so you get them all there. So let me just go through. Back in my day, so back in my day, basically, is when I was young, right? It's a very common expression, when I was young. Back in my day. Why is it my day? It doesn't belong to you, but there you go. Back in my day at school, we used to play tricks on some teachers. Yeah, play tricks on. Notice the on. Make a note. I'll be testing you later. There was hell to pay, right? There was big trouble. There was big trouble. There was hell to pay. You had to pay a big price, the big penalty, basically. There was hell to pay. If my father found out, I'd be in deep trouble. That's big trouble again. If I got in my father's bad books, right? To get in someone's bad books is to be in trouble with that person. If I got in my father's bad books. So if I got into trouble with him, that's basically what it means, right? So if I got into trouble with him, that's the one. He would come down on me like a ton of bricks. Is basically punish me harshly. Harshly. Yeah. Great. And what else did we have? If my mother found out, I'd really be in the doghouse. Again, in the doghouse, in big trouble. As I mentioned, the doghouse is the kennel. We call it the kennel. So when you're sleeping outside, if you're sleeping in the doghouse, you're sleeping where the dog sleeps. In big trouble. Snowflakes. Yeah, we've talked about that before. The kids are spoiled rotten. So really spoiled. Tell them to behave and it falls on deaf ears. It falls on deaf ears. They ignore it. They ignore it. Yeah. It falls on deaf ears. Deaf, I'm sure you know deaf, right? I suppose you know deaf. Deaf means you cannot hear. Mute means you cannot speak. Blind means you cannot see. So deaf, you cannot hear. If it falls on deaf ears, then you're not listening. You're ignoring that person. Okay. It falls on deaf ears. They don't pay the blindest bit of notice. Now, blind, you can't see. But here, it means they don't pay any notice. Not even the smallest notice. I'm not sure why, but not even a little bit of notice. Not at all. They pay no attention. They pay no notice. They pay not even the blindest bit of notice. Pass down, we talked about. Take on. Oh, that's my take. Yeah, not take on. My take on. Yeah, not always with on. But in this case, yes, that's my take on. My opinion about is my take on. Is my opinion about. Da, 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 da. That's the one. What's your take? What's your opinion? Right, exactly the same one as well. Great, holy moly. Lots of idioms and expressions there to talk about the generation gap. Nice, very nice. Pay no heed to, that's nice. Let's add that one. Pay no heed to. Atia, thank you very much. They pay no heed to it. That's nice also. Emmy, I'm all ears in this lesson. Good, you can say that as well. That is nice. I'm all ears in this lesson. Absolutely. Very, very good. I'm pleased about that, Emmy. Can we use any essay or topic, my take on? Yes, but this is only speaking, right? You wouldn't really write it, but only in speaking. You can use it in any context for speaking, yes. Shakun, can we pass on our values? Yes, absolutely. What does it mean, pass down? It means to give to the younger generation. So to give to your children. Yep, you can pass down, you can give to your children, you can pass down values, you can pass down clothes, you can pass down your money and your inheritance, you can pass down your house to your children. Yeah, good questions. Great. Nice. No, I don't have an American accent. Who says I've got an American accent? Certainly not. Very British accent. Oh, just reminded me. Right. I'm going to move on. We're going to have 5 minutes. I hope you can stay. I realise these classes now are about an hour and a half. For me, that's great. I hope you can stay. I'm just going to do a very quick model answer, right? We've talked about the generation, but at this moment, right, if you're thinking, yeah, but you haven't answered this question, blah, 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 this is your chance, right? I want you to think of a question in this topic, on this topic, that you want to ask me, and I will try and give you a model answer for that question, right? So this is the bit, we call it the model answer bit. I'll just pop you out and pop me in. In fact, I think I can do this over here, can't I? Yeah. Oh, no, not so good. Let me come back here. Model answers. So have a think. Is there any question you'd like to ask on this topic? And I can try and give you a model answer. On this topic. Oh, well, here you go. This is a good one from Emmy. First one in. How is your generation different from your parents' generation? Okay. Nice. So let me put this here. Emmy, I'm going to take you off and let me have a go. This is probably a part 3, so it might be a bit longer. How is your generation, my generation, right, different from my parents' generation? Okay. Ooh, well, okay. First of all, you know, my parents grew up during the war, the Second World War. So they grew up in very, very frugal times where they had to be very careful with money, food, clothes. Nothing went to waste. They would be very careful how they spent their money. And so these values of being cautious, careful, and thrifty are values that maybe they've tried to pass down to my generation, but my generation were less thrifty. And I think I was growing up in a time, you know, in the 1970s and 1980s, where there was more affluence in my country and we were spending more money, and we had a more rebellious attitude to everything. So I think, generally speaking, my generation is more rebellious and less cautious than my parents' generation. Okay, great, good. I've not actually thought about that before. It's a good question. English accent from England. Yes. Pass down a disease, Jose. You pass down the genes. I'm not sure if we say you pass down the disease. You pass down the genes rather than the disease. Okay, other questions? Right, okay. I thought this one might come up. Should you take tradition? Oh, that's good. Oh, what about this one from Facebook? Let's try this one. Okay. Gosh. Give me a moment. Facebook, I'm just going to take you off for the moment. Oh, describe a time when you saw a child behaved badly. You mean behaving, right? I think. Ooh. Right. Is that a part 2 question? Can I have a minute to think? Give me a few seconds to think about that. Yeah, okay. Describe a time you saw a child behaving badly in public. This was actually last summer, and I saw a young boy. He must have been about 10 years old, playing with his friends, but he was bullying his friends. And it was in the summertime. Did I say that? It was in the summertime. It was last year. When you make things up, don't change things. And so I was out with my wife. We were sat outside at a bar having a drink, and the children were playing around in that area, and the parents were close by. And I noticed this young boy who was ordering the other boys around. He was pushing them a bit and shouting at them and clearly intimidating them against their will to do certain things. And I think I had to draw the line when I saw him hitting one of the other boys. And I just leant over to the parents and said, because I realised they were from the same family, I said, have you noticed, what they're doing and how they're playing? And the father immediately stood up and was very angry, not with me, but with his son. And he went over and told his son off. And that was the end of that. But I felt I had to say something, but it's a very difficult situation because you don't want to interfere with other people's business and how they run their families. But I sensed that they weren't aware of what was happening. And so, I decided to say something. And that was a time when I saw a child behaving mischievously in a public place. Wow. Gosh, it's tough, isn't it? And I'll tell you what the problem for me was. When I was preparing, is I started getting different ideas and I thought, oh, is that good? But then I decided to take my own advice. And my advice is always go with the first idea. Even if it's not perfect, right? Go with the first idea. Because if not, you start wasting so much time jumping to different ideas. Go with the first one if it's relevant on topic and develop it. But if you're making it up, and I was making that up, you may have noticed, it wasn't true at all. I was making it up. It was partly true, but mostly made up. But I forgot. Was it the summertime? I couldn't remember. Anyway, there you go. That's it. There's a quick model answer for you. Great. I'm going to move on because we've only got 10 minutes left. Lots of questions from you there. Nice questions. But I'm going to move on. I will make a note of those and I'll try and integrate any useful vocabulary into the lesson notes. But right now, it's time for 3, 2, 1, Kahoot. A bit of a vocabulary review. I hope whatever generation you're from, you've been making notes or giving voice recordings. And I'm going to test you now. Let's see who is on the ball. Which one of yous, as they say in Scotland, which one of yous is on the ball? All right, good. If you're new, Kahoot is just a fun game where we're going to test. I'm going to ask you 4 questions. I'm just setting this up as I talk. And we're going to review the vocabulary that you've been doing throughout today's class. And apparently that does help you. No, I know it does. It does help you kind of consolidate it when you review things. It is true, right? I mean, they do say that if you review something within 24 hours, you're much more likely to retain it here. If you study something and you wait more than 24 hours, you forget 70%. 70%. That's ridiculous. So within 24 hours, you must review if it's new vocabulary or new language. Otherwise, you start losing it. So daily practice. I think that's why daily practice is so important. Anyway, let me take you into Kahoot. We're going to go and do the teaching one. So what you need to do is go into www.kahoot.it. I think you can see it here. Yep. There's a game pin that you get. 22436. You can download the app. You come here regularly. You might as well download the app. www.kahoot.it. And there is the pin 22436. Just put in your name. Just turn it up a little bit. Put in your name and you can join. I'll give you a few minutes just to join. Get in there. Rasputin, great. Great. Just a few more minutes, seconds. How many have we got in? 134. That's great. If you can't get in, don't worry. You can just write your answer in the comments box as well, and I will see that. But it's just participating, right? That's the main thing. Right. Where has the comments box? Hi Keith, I just got 6.5 watching your YouTube videos. Well done. The game pin 22436. Little one smile. 22436. Dun, 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 dun. Music is a bit too loud, isn't it? Right. Sorry, I'm just listening to the music. I'm like hypnotised. I'm like forgetting where I am. I'm in a class. Let's go. Okay, let's jump in. Let's begin. Let's start. First question, generation gap. Which is the odd one out? That means which one is different? Which one is different? Naughty, unbehaved, disobedient, mischievous. Five seconds left. Nice one. The answer is well behaved. Well done. Well behaved means you are good. All the others are the same, are bad. Naughty, disobedient, mischievous, they're all the same meaning of being bad. So the odd one out is well behaved. Nice. Well done. Okay, next question. Oh, sorry, scoreboard. At the top, we have Khan. Great. Steve Roger coming in second and Gautam in fourth place. And hello, hey, Arnold. Fourth and fifth is Nikki. Some familiar names now. Great. Number 2. The generation gap is blank to new technologies, meaning due to or because of. The generation gap is blank to new technologies. This one, Rose, well done, Kim. Colour, nice. Oh, well done. Well done. I think that's a good idea for me to remind you as we're studying to make a note. It's the generation gap is down to new technologies, meaning because or due to, right? A lot of you put up to means it's your decision, right? So the decision is up to you, or the decision is up to the government. It's their decision. So it has a meaning, but in this context, no. In this context, it's down to. Okay, let's check that leaderboard. Steve Roger is up in first place. Well done. Hey, Arnold, second place. Gautam into third place. Can't see the question clearly. I'll try and make it a bit smaller so you can. I think there is a problem on the app as well, that it's not very, very clear. You only get the choices. So I will kind of repeat the question. Here's number 3. We should blank our values onto the next generation. We should blank our values onto the next generation. Five seconds. Right, good. Pass, excellent. 120 of you got pass our values onto. Somebody wrote give. You could also say give your values onto the next generation. But when we talk about giving to the next generation, we actually nearly always say pass on. Pass on, right? Remember we talked about pass on my wealth to my children, pass on my house to my children, pass on my values to my children. Yeah, excellent. Well done, guys. Let's see where we are on that leaderboard. Oh, look at that. A whole new group of people coming in. Timo Jojo is right up at first place. Sefa in second, and Kain Wood Yi coming into third place. That's exciting to see some new faces. Well, not faces, new names. Last question, guys. Last chance. Children ignore their parents' advice. It falls on blank ears. It falls on blank ears. Children ignore their parents' advice. It falls on blank ears. Five seconds. Whoa, look at that. Look at that. 135. Excellent. Absolutely brilliant. It falls on deaf ears. You've nailed it. Well done. So, where are we? Third place. Gautam. Kiwi, which means what? Out of the blue. Van, where did you come from? Van is the winner. Excellent. Catchy music or what? Right? You can spend the whole day just. Great. Van, well done. Excellent. You came out of nowhere, out of the blue, to take and rob first place gold medal. Well done. And everybody, that was brilliant. I am so impressed on how well you did, making a note of prepositions and idioms. Nice one. Excellent. So, as we finish up, just a quick reminder for you. I'll just share this with you. Remember, in about 2 or 3 hours, you can go to the website and you can find the notes in the free live lessons area, and you can collect them there. They will be there in several hours' time. I've got a few people with me helping me do that. Excellent. So just to let you know, also, if you haven't joined the Facebook group, come along, come and join us. It's the Keith Mastermind community. If you're into Instagram, you can come and find me at Keith_speaking_academy. I just started doing some new videos there, very short ones on the Instagram Reels, but really nice, I hope, for your pronunciation and short answers to part 1 questions. So go and check me out there as well. As always, just to remind you, there are the courses on Udemy. I've got the fluency course. If you want to improve your fluency, if you want a fuller course to prepare, there's the IELTS Speaking Success course. There's lots of stuff on this screen. I can't see anything. Get rid of all of those. Stop it. Go away. Go away. Brilliant. What else we got? YouTube, subscribe. That's it. I am leaving you now. Thank you very, very much for following me. It's been a blast. I've really enjoyed it. And I look forward to next week. If you have any suggestions for topics, please do make a note here in the comments, or come to the Facebook group and let me know, or just email me, Keith@Keith Speaking Academy. Let me know. And I look forward to hearing from you. Take care, my friends. All the best now. Bye-bye.